It is 2:37 in the morning. You're not dreaming. You are wide awake, clutching at your calf, your foot, your thigh wherever the pain strikes. It feels like someone's grabbed your muscle with icy hands and twisted until you want to cry out. But you don't, because you're not alone in the house. Because you're not supposed to wake the neighbors. Because deep down, you've started to believe this is just your new normal. You're over 60 now, after all. But as the cramp ebbs in you gingerly massage the tight knot out of your leg, a stubborn voice inside asks, "Does it really have to be like this?" You wonder if anyone else is awake, gripping their own legs in the dark. You think of the friends you haven't seen lately, the walks you've stopped taking, the grandkids you can't lift quite as easily. You remember when sleep was easy and you never worried about the simple act of standing up down? The cramps come often. Sometimes it's a sudden, sharp spasm that drags you out of precious sleep. Sometimes it's a slow ache, a tension that lingers all day, making your stride shorter, your confidence smaller. The doctors call it aging. Your neighbor calls it just part of getting old. But you can't shake the feeling that there's something there missing. Something you're missing. That feeling isn't wrong. What if, in fact, your body isn't just wearing out, but trying to tell you something? What if cramps aren't a curse or a mystery, but a message, a desperate call from your nervous system that something is missing? Something simple, something essential? This is not just the story of one person. This is the story of millions. Men and women who worked hard, built families, gave, and are now told that pain is just their reward for a long life. But here's the truth, whispered in kitchens, in clinics, in research labs, and in the stories of those who refuse to give up. You are not powerless. Your body is not broken. And in most cases, leg cramps are not inevitable. Meet Mrs. Adams, a retired librarian. At 70, she prided herself on her independence. She lived alone, managed her garden, and took great joy in her Friday walks to the corner bakery. But then, the cramps came. At first, they were an occasional nuisance. Then, they grew bolder, waking her at night, making her dread going to sleep. Within months, her life shrank. The garden grew wild, the bakery visits stopped, and her favorite chair became both sanctuary and prison. The doctor suggested pills, creams, and learning to live with it. But Mrs. Adams was a reader. She knew that every problem had a root. Every mystery, a clue. She began to look for answers not in the pharmacy, but in her own kitchen, in the patterns of her day, in the subtle, overlooked messages of her body. What she found changed everything, and she is not alone. Across continents and generations, people are rediscovering what their grandmothers and grandfathers once knew. The path to healing begins not with more pills, but with the food you choose every day. Over the next chapters, you'll meet 3 powerful, humble foods that don't just silence cramps, they restore circulation, rebuild strength, and bring back the freedom you thought was lost. You'll hear stories of people like Mr. John, who gave up walking his dog out of fear, and Maria, who started an avocado breakfast club that saved her friendships as well as her legs. You'll get the science, the recipes, and the rituals that work even when everything else has failed. Most importantly, you'll be invited to change your story not just for a night, but for the years still ahead. So turn off the TV, put down the bottle of pills, and settle in. It's time to listento your body to your spirit, to the old wisdom and the new science that says, you are not done yet. Your best days are not behind you, and your next meal could be the turning point. For most of your life, your legs carried you without complaint. You ran, climbed, knelt, and danced. You stood for hours at work, shuttled children from one place to another, planted gardens, swept floors, built dreams. You trusted your body to obey, to serve, to bounce back. Then, somewhere past 60 or perhaps earlier, for some signals began to shift. At first, you felt just a flicker, a little stiffness after sitting too long, a cramp when stretching out in bed, a twitch that pulsed beneath the skin like a quiet drumbeat. You brushed it off. Everyone gets stiff, you told yourself. Everyone has aches. But as the weeks passed, the messages grew louder. The cramps struck in the middle of the night, waking you with their violence. Sometimes they seized your calves. Sometimes your feet, your thighs, even your hands. You'd gasp, massage, wait for the pain to pass. But the worry lingered. What if this is something serious? What if it never goes away? Here's what most people never learn. Cramps are not random. They are a message from your nervous system, a clear, urgent signal that something is off, usually with your nutrition. Your body, especially as you age, relies on a delicate balance of minerals and hydration to keep nerves firing and muscles relaxed. The key players: potassium, magnesium, and calcium, 3 minerals that regulate the very electricity that makes movement possible. When you're young, your body keeps these minerals in check almost effortlessly. But after 60, things change. You lose potassium and magnesium faster. Your kidneys get less efficient. Your absorption from food can drop, especially if you take certain medications or have chronic conditions. Add to that a lifetime of habits, maybe not drinking enough water, maybe reaching for processed foods, maybe skipping meals when you're tired, and the system starts to show cracks. That's when the cramps begin. It's not just about the pain either. Nighttime cramps steal your sleep, robbing you of the deep rest your body needs to heal and regenerate. They bring fear of standing up too fast, of falling, of embarrassing yourself in public. They shrink your world, little by little. You stop walking as far. You avoid stairs. You decline invitations to dance at your granddaughter's wedding. Your independence, your confidence, your joy seem to slip away with every spasm. But here's the hopeful truth. Your body is not failing. It is calling out for help, and you can answer that call starting today. You don't need exotic supplements or magic cures. You need to understand what your body is missing and give it consistently in the form of real, nourishing food. In the following pages, we'll dive deep into the 3 foods most overlooked, foods that act like medicine, rebuilding your strength, calming your nerves, and restoring your freedom to move, sleep, and live. But before we do, let's hear from someone who made this journey. Mr. John, age 72, once loved to walk his dog, Lucky, every evening around the lake near his home. It was his ritual, a way to clear his mind, stretch his legs, and chat with neighbors. But over the years, cramps began to wake him at night, leaving his calves knotted and sore. Soon, his steps grew hesitant. He dreaded the pain, dreaded the thought of freezing up far from home. His family offered creams and pills, but nothing worked. It wasn't until he attended a local senior health seminar that he heard about the connection between diet, minerals, and leg cramps. Skeptical but desperate, he made simple change, adding more potassium and magnesium-rich foods, drinking water, and making sure he ate a real meal at dinner. Within a few weeks, the cramps faded. Sleep returned. One bright Sunday, Mr. John and Lucky walked the entire lake for the first time in months. "I thought my body was broken," he said. Turns out, it was just hungry for the right things. Picture this. It's Sunday morning. The sunlight spills across your kitchen table. You're sitting with your favorite coffee, tea, or maybe just water, watching the steam rise and swirl. There was a time when you barely thought about food. Except for hunger, maybe a sweet treat now and then, or a celebration dinner with family. Food was comfort, tradition, joy. But somewhere in the blur of birthdays and decades, food became more complicated. You began to hear warnings from doctors. Watch your salt, cut the fat, eat less sugar. Commercials bombarded you with pills and powders, promising quick relief for everything from aches to memory lapses. The message was clear. Food was fuel at best, the enemy at worst. But what if that was only half the story? What if food isn't just something to manage, to restrict, or to fear, but a powerful medicine? What if instead of chasing after the newest supplement or prescription, you could harness the wisdom of simple, real foods your ancestors trusted to not only soothe your pain, but to rebuild the very foundation of your health? Let's go back in time, just for a moment. Imagine the meals your grandparents or great-grandparents prepared. Stews full of root vegetables, leafy greens pulled from gardens, seeds and nuts scattered on bread, fresh fruits eaten in season. These foods weren't exotic. They were practical, local, and most important, alien sins. They were the original medicine cabinet, long before there were pharmacies on every corner. Modern science is catching up to that old wisdom. Every year, new studies confirm what traditional cultures have known for centuries. The minerals, vitamins, and natural compounds in food shape everything from how your muscles contract to how your brain forms memories. But somewhere in our rush for convenience, we lost that connection. We started reaching for quick fixes, painkillers, sports drinks, even magic vitamin waters that do little but drain wallets. We forgot that, for the most stubborn aches and cramps, there is no substitute for real, unprocessed nourishment. Here's the surprising truth. The majority of leg cramps, nighttime spasms, and chronic muscle fatigue experienced by people over 60 aren't the inevitable results of aging. They're the result of a slow, silent depletion, years of missing minerals, not enough real nutrition, and a modern diet that leaves the body thirsty for its most basic building blocks. You might think you're eating well enough. Maybe you have toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, pasta or rice for dinner. But hidden in the bland sameness of convenience food is a gaping hole. Low potassium for nerve signals and muscle relaxation. Low magnesium, relax and repair mineral. Depleted by stress, caffeine, and many common medications. Low calcium and zinc, needed for strong bones, steady nerves, and healthy immune function. Not enough healthy fats which help you absorb all those minerals. Keep blood sugar steady and protect your heart. It's not that you're failing, it's that the world around you has changed. The soil is depleted. The produce is picked before it's ripe. Meals are rushed, processed, and eaten alone, often in front of a screen. But here's the hope. You can change your future, starting today with a single meal. Food is not just calories. It's information, a message to every cell in your body. When you give your body the minerals, fats, and phytonutrients it's been missing, it responds almost immediately. Nerves fire smoothly. Muscles relax. Blood flows easier. Sleep deepens. Moods brighten. And, most importantly for many, cramps disappear. It's not magic, it's biology. But it can feel like magic when you've been living for years in a state of depletion. Let's break down the myth of pills for a moment. If you've ever tried a magnesium supplement or a sports drink and wondered why it didn't work, you're not alone. Supplements can be helpful, but they're often poorly absorbed. Your body doesn't recognize isolated minerals the way it recognizes nutrients packaged in real food. Take magnesium, for example. In a pill, much is lost in digestion. In an avocado or a handful of pumpkin seeds, magnesium comes surrounded by healthy fats, fiber, and cofactors that your body uses efficiently, absorbs what it needs, excreting the rest gently, without the risk of overdose or side effects. And then there's the psychological impact. When you eat nourishing food, especially food you enjoy, prepared with carrots, not just your body that heals, your mind gets the message. I matter. I am worth this attention. Your mood lifts, your confidence returns. You become the caretaker of your own health. not just a patient waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. All of this sounds good, you might think. But does it really work? Does switching up your breakfast or adding a few seeds to your lunch really make that much of a difference? Let me answer that with a story. Maria, age 69, spent decades caring for others. She raised 4 children, nursed. Her husband, through illness, volunteered at her church and was the first to bake a casserole when anyone in the neighborhood was in need. But when she hit her late 60s, something changed. Her legs, once sturdy and dependable, became her greatest source of anxiety. Cramps woke her nightly. She found herself avoiding stairs, clinging to the railing in public, and making excuses. Not to join her friends for walks, her doctor prescribed pills. Her daughter bought her magnesium water and calcium chews. Nothing helped. One afternoon, frustrated and exhausted, Maria called her friend Carmen for advice. Carmen, spry at 73, invited her for breakfast the next morning. Maria arrived to find a table spread with avocado toast, soft-boiled eggs, and a bowl of pumpkin seeds. They ate, laughed, and talked about the old days. After a week of avocado breakfasts, Maria noticed something had shifted. The cramps eased her steps, grew lighter, and for the first time in years, she slept through the night. She started inviting friends to join, and soon, the Avocado Breakfast Club was born, a gathering of neighbors, all eating their way back to health and freedom. Nutrition is not a punishment. It's a gift you give yourself every meal, every day. And it is never too late to begin. In the chapters ahead, you'll discover exactly how to use food as medicine, starting with 3 simple, delicious foods that belong in every kitchen, especially after 60. You'll get recipes, rituals, and real-life testimonials, as well as the science behind why these foods work, not just for cramps, but for energy, mood, and longevity. If you're ready to leave pain and fear behind, step back into a life of movement, confidence, and ease-read. Because this story isn't just about food. It's about reclaiming your independence, one delicious bite at a time. Let's begin with a fruit that's humble, creamy, and so often misunderstood: the avocado. For years, Americans overlooked avocados. Some thought they were too fatty, too bland, or too exotic. They never took center stage at the breakfast table, overshadowed by cereals, toast, and bacon. But what most people didn't realize is that this little green fruit holds within it a powerful secret for the aging body. Secret especially important for anyone who's felt the pain of leg cramps, weakness, or restless nights. Why avocados? Why now? To answer that, let me introduce you to Helen Peterson, a retired nurse living in Savannah, Georgia. Helen spent her working years teaching new mothers how to care for their babies. But she never thought she'd need help herself when she got older. At 74, Helen's nights became battlegrounds. Every few hours, a stabbing cramp would twist her calf, forcing her out of bed to hobble circles around her bedroom, hoping the pain would let her sleep. Her daughter Anna worried. "Mom, you need more potassium," she said, offering bananas and sports drinks. Helen tried, but the bananas left her sugar crashing and the drinks made her queasy. Pills didn't work. One afternoon, Anna brought over avocado toast. "It's all the rage," she laughed. Helen was skeptical. But the texture was rich, the taste satisfying. Anna explained, "One avocado has more potassium than a banana bot with no sugar spike. It's also loaded with magnesium, the mineral that keeps your muscles calm." Helen started having half an avocado with her lunch or breakfast each day, mashed on whole grain toast, sliced on salads, or blended into a smoothie. Within a week, her cramps had faded. She slept through the night. "It was like someone gave me back a part of my life I didn't even realize I'd lost," Helen told her church group. And just like that, she became an avocado evangelist. But Helen's story is not unique. Across the country in Colorado, a man named Samuel Green, once an avid hiker, found himself forced off the trails he loved. Every time I took a step uphill, my calves seized up. It was embarrassing. I felt old and defeated, he admitted. A nutritionist friend suggested adding avocados to his dinners, especially after long walks. It sounds simple, but it worked. My legs felt stronger, my energy lasted, and I didn't dread the nights anymore. Samuel's hiking buddies soon followed suit. Avocados became their secret trail food. Why do avocados work so well, especially for seniors? The answer is in their powerful nutrient package. Potassium and magnesium are the unsung heroes of muscle. Health potassium helps your muscles contract smoothly and keeps your heart beating steadily. Magnesium lets those same muscles relax. Without it, your body stays tense, cramp-prone, and restless. After 60, your body's reserves of both minerals begin to run low, whether from medications, dehydration, or simply the changes of aging. Avocados are nature's perfect remedy. Just one delivers nearly 700 milligrams of potassium, more than a banana, but without the blood sugar spike, and plenty of magnesium, plus healthy fats that help your body absorb both. But avocados offer even more. They're anti-inflammatory, helping to soothe aging joints and nerves. They contain antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin that protect your eyes and brain from the wear and tear of time. They help regulate blood pressure and cholesterol, lowering the risk of strokes or heart attacks. They deliver gentle fiber, keeping digestion steady and blood sugar stable. And, as Helen discovered, avocados can lift your mood. Their B vitamins and folate feed your brain, calming stress and anxiety. Modern nutrition research confirms, when your cells are nourished, your mind brightens. I felt more clear, more positive. I even started reading novels again, Helen laughed. So how do you make avocados part of your daily routine? Okay, simplicity is best. Try this: half an avocado, sliced with a pinch of sea salt and a drizzle of olive oil, mashed on whole grain toast, topped with a sprinkle of seeds, blended into a smoothie with spinach, almond milk, and a dash of honey, sliced on top of a garden salad or soup, or simply eaten plain with a spoon. You don't need to be fancy. You don't need to follow trends. You need a Habitat small ritual that delivers the minerals, healthy fats, and gentle energy your muscles crave. For most people, half an avocado a day is enough to make a real difference. If you want, pair it with a handful of pumpkin seeds or some dark leafy greens to multiply the benefits. Remember, aging isn't about losing your strength. It's about adapting your habits, finding what your body needs and giving it with kindness and regularity. Back in Savannah, Helen started a little tradition. Every Tuesday morning, she invites a few neighbors to her walking group, her friend from church, her mailman's wife for avocado mornings. They gather around her kitchen table, share stories, laugh, and enjoy avocado toast or smoothies together. The cramps are mostly gone, but the companionship and hope remain. As Helen says, we're not just eating for our legs. We're eating for each other, for the memories we still want to make. This is the real lesson of the avocado, not just that it can ease pain, but that it can bring you back to a sense of connection, of possibility, of gentle care. Are you ready to try? The next time you feel a twinge or wake up with a cramp, don't reach for the painkillers. Reach for an avocado. Let your healing begin in your kitchen, at your table, in the company of friends or family, if you're lucky enough to have them. And if you're alone, remember, you are not truly alone. With every bite, you are joining a quiet revolution: older Americans rediscovering their strength, their hope, and their joy, one meal at a time. Let's take a trip to a kitchen in Ohio, where a retired high school coach named Walter Jenkins makes his famous sweet potato mash every Sunday. For most of his life, Walter considered sweet potatoes a holiday treat, something you ate at Thanksgiving, covered in marshmallows, maybe brown sugar. But as he moved into his late 60s, those classic dishes didn't seem so harmless. His blood sugar spiked, his joints ached, and most troubling of all, his legs started betraying him. He'd wake up with searing cramps in his calves, sometimes even in his feet and thighs. Walking across the yard felt like a marathon. Walter, always a doer, tried everything. He bought muscle rubs and magnesium supplements. He even joined a stretching class at the local rec center. Still, the cramps kept coming, like clockwork, every other night. One evening, his granddaughter, Abby, a nutrition major in college, watched him wince as he stood up from the dinner table. "Grandpa, you need more magnesium, potassium, and calcium in your diet," she said gently. Scooping another helping of sweet potato mash onto his plate this time, roasted with just olive oil, salt, and a sprinkle of turmeric. He gave her a skeptical look. "Sweet potatoes? Not pills." She smiled. "Your body wants real food, not just a Band-Aid." That week, Walter swapped his usual white potatoes for sweet potatoes. He tried them roasted, mashed, sliced in salads, even cold as a snack. Within a week, something shifted. The cramps grew less intense. His energy lasted through the afternoons. After a month, Walter realized he hadn't had a single nighttime cramp. For the first time in years, he slept deeply, waking refreshed. And when his old coaching buddies visited, he showed off his new favorite side dish, challenging them to a walk around the block. Walter's story is not just a fluke. All across the country, seniors are rediscovering the quiet, restorative power of this humble root. Sweet potatoes aren't flashy. They aren't expensive. They aren't a fad. But they are, without question, one of the most effective medicines you can add to your plate if you want to soothe your muscles, support your nerves, and bring vitality back to your legs. Why are sweet potatoes so powerful for older adults? First, they are a natural electrolyte powerhouse packing magnesium, potassium, and calcium all together. Magnesium relaxes tight muscles and soothes nerves, helping to prevent the spasms and twitches that disturb your sleep or your stride. Potassium keeps the signals flowing between nerves and muscles, making contractions smooth and balanced. Calcium works with both, enabling proper communication and reducing the misfires that lead to cramps. Unlike pills, which can be hard to absorb or irritate the stomach, these minerals arrive in a package your body recognizes. The fiber in sweet potatoes slows the digestion and allows steady, gentle absorption. No spikes, no crashes, just calm, lasting nourishment. But the benefits go further. Sweet potatoes are rich in complex carbohydrate kind that give you stable, slow-burning energy, not a quick jolt. For seniors whose blood sugar control may not be what it once was, this is critical. Walter found that when he started eating sweet potatoes regularly, his mid-afternoon energy slumps disappeared. He could mow the lawn, work in his garage, even join his friends for card games without the fog or fatigue he used to dread. There's another gift in sweet potatoes: beta-carotene orange pigment that your body converts into vitamin A. This isn't just about vision though, it does help protect aging eyes and night vision. Beta-carotene supports healthy skin, bolsters your immune system, and even strengthens the mucous membranes that guard your lungs and digestive tract. Walter, who always caught a cold every fall, noticed his immune system seemed stronger, his skin less dry. "I feel like I've gotten a bit of my old self back," he joked. Let's not forget the gut. Seniors often struggle with sluggish digestion or constipation, especially if they're on certain medications. The natural fiber in sweet potatoes acts like a gentle broom, keeping your digestive tract moving, feeding the good bacteria, and helping you absorb more nutrients from every meal. Since switching to sweet potatoes, my stomach feels lighter and more regular. It's like I've oiled up the engine, Walter shared in his local men's breakfast group. earning a few laughs and more than a few requests for his recipe. How? You prepare sweet potatoes matters. Roasting brings out their sweetness and preserves mineral. Simply slice, drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle with salt and pepper, and bake until tender. Steaming is gentle and keeps nutrients intact. Mash with a bit of olive oil or avocado instead of butter keeps the dish healthy. Add turmeric and black pepper for extra anti-inflammatory benefit. Avoid boiling for too long, as some minerals can leach into the water. Want to get creative? Make a warm sweet potato salad with leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, and a squeeze of lemon. Try sweet potato toast by slicing thick pieces, roasting them, and topping with avocado or a little nut butter. Mix mashed sweet potato into oatmeal for a breakfast twist. Or, as Walter sometimes does, simply enjoy slices cold from the fridge, sprinkled with a little cinnamon. For best results, aim to enjoy sweet potatoes 3 to 4 times a week. That's enough to restore magnesium and potassium stores, support steady digestion, and keep cramps at bay. Walter's friends have noticed. "You walk like you're 20 years younger," his neighbor remarked. Walter just smiled and offered him a helping of his famous sweet potato mash. "That's the thing," Walter told him. "We spend so much time chasing pills and quick fixes. Sometimes what we really need is already growing in the ground. It's just waiting for us to remember." You see, sweet potatoes aren't just food. They are a reminder that healing is simple, gentle, and available to all of us every day, right in our kitchens, right in our hands. So next time your legs ache or your sleep is broken by cramps, reach for a sweet potato. Roast it, mash it, savor I tend. Know that with every bite, you're giving your body what it needs to repair, recover, and keep you moving freely for years to come. Picture a quiet afternoon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In her sunlit kitchen, 7-8-year-old Martha Reeves pours a handful of pumpkin seeds toes, little green gems into a small ceramic bowl. She keeps them on her counter now, right beside the coffee pot, a gentle reminder of how much can change when you add just one small habit to your day. Martha never thought much about seeds. Growing up, they were something scooped from Halloween pumpkins and tossed into the compost. Even later, when she read about superfoods, pumpkin seeds seemed a trend for younger folks. Not a solution for real problems like her restless, aching legs that twitched and cramped at all the wrong times. Martha's story, though, is not about giving up. It's about paying attention. Last winter, as the cold set in, Martha's legs became her biggest worry. Not just the sharp cramps. At night, those were bad, but a steady, uncomfortable twitching. Some nights, her legs felt as if an invisible current ran through them, making it impossible to settle down and sleep. The fatigue crept into her days. She snapped at her husband, skipped her weekly bridge game, felt lonely and out of sorts. Her doctor suggested sleep aids, but Martha wasn't keen on more pills. Her granddaughter, Rachel, a nurse, brought her a bag of plain, raw pumpkin seeds, explaining, "Graham, you're probably low in magnesium. These little guys are packed with it, and your body knows exactly what to do with them." Skeptical but willing to try, Martha started eating a small handful every morning with her oatmeal, sometimes sprinkling them on salads or simply munching. In the afternoon, instead of her usual crackers, it didn't take long. Within a week, the twitching faded. Within 2, the night cramps stopped completely. Martha started sleeping through the night, waking with real energy. "I couldn't believe something so small could make such a difference," she marveled, and science agrees. Pumpkin seeds are a nutritional powerhouse what some nutritionists call nature's mineral supplement. They deliver more than 40% of your daily magnesium in just a single ounce. And unlike many pills, the magnesium in pumpkin seeds is bioavailable. That means your body recognizes it, absorbs it, and uses it where you need it most. But the benefits don't end with magnesium. Pumpkin seeds are also rich in zinc, another crucial mineral for nerve health, immune function, and cellular repair. Zinc can be hard to get as you age, especially if you take certain medications or don't eat a lot of meat. Without enough, you may notice slower healing, more inflammation, or that awful wired but tired feeling where your body is exhausted, but your mind just won't rest. Let's not forget about antioxidants. These little seeds are loaded with vitamin E and special plant compounds called lignans, which help fight the cellular stress and rust that builds up in your muscles and joints over time. For people like Martha, who sometimes felt stiff or achy after just a short walk, these nutrients make all the difference quietly, supporting the healing and rebuilding process your body needs. There's more. Pumpkin seeds offer healthy fats and a gentle dose of plant-based protein, making them a perfect snack for seniors who want to keep energy steady without turning to sugar or processed foods. Martha found she no longer craved cookies in the afternoon. Instead, a handful of seeds satisfied her, kept her blood sugar steady, and filled her muscles with calm, lasting fuel. One of the most surprising gifts of pumpkin seeds is better sleep. Magnesium helps calm the nervous system and supports your body's production of melatonin hormone that tells you when it's time to rest. Martha noticed fewer wake-ups, less tossing and turning, and best of all, a total absence of those awful, jarring cramps that used to ruin her nights. What's the best way to use pumpkin seeds? Simplicity wins again, Tay. Keep a small jar of raw or dry roasted unsalted pumpkin seeds within reach in the kitchen counter, your desk, or beside your favorite chair. Sprinkle them over your morning oatmeal or yogurt. Add them to salads for a pleasant crunch. Blend them into smoothies, or simply eat a small handful on their own when hunger strikes. For a super snack, try pumpkin seeds with a few squares of dark chocolate or a piece of fruit grate for both minerals and taste. A few simple tips: always choose seeds without added oils or extra salt. Avoid heavily seasoned or sugar-coated versions, which may bring back the inflammation you're trying to avoid. Consistency: a handful most days works better than a cup once a week. Martha's husband, Bill, soon joined her pumpkin seed habit. He'd suffered with his own cramps, blaming them on getting older. But within 2 weeks, even his stubborn symptoms faded. The two now joke that pumpkin seeds are their evening insurance, their ticket to quiet legs and peaceful dreams. It's worth noting, too, that pumpkin seeds are gentle on digestion, and their combination of minerals, protein, and healthy fats can support heart health, muscle repair, and even mood. Stories like Martha's are echoed from coast to coast. In California, Frank Davis, a retired mail carrier, discovered pumpkin seeds as a post-walk snack. In Florida, Patricia Owens, who lives with arthritis, credits her daily seed routine with reducing the stiffness in her legs, allowing her to walk her dog again after years of struggle. The lesson is simple. Sometimes, the smallest changes bring the greatest results. Your body knows what to do with real food, especially when it's delivered in a form that humans have eaten for generations. If you're struggling with restless legs, cramps, poor sleep, or just want to feel more stable and confident, don't overlook the humble pumpkin seed. It's not a magic bullet, but it is a steady, gentle tool, one that can fit into your life without fuss or fanfare. Remember Martha's story the next time you reach for a snack. A handful of seeds, a little intention, and a few weeks of consistency can put you on the path to stronger legs, deeper rest, and a brighter tomorrow. The stories you've heard so far about Helen and her avocado mornings in Savannah, Walter's sweet potato suppers in Ohio, Martha and Bill's pumpkin seed routine in Tulsa aren't just about nutrition. They're about the small, powerful rituals that make change possible. Because, as every older adult knows, a single meal doesn't fix a body. It's what you do every day quietly. Faith Flithethought rewires your health, gives you back your confidence, But how do you turn these foods into something more than good intentions? How do you make a new habit, especially when old routines feel so set in stone? Let's travel for a moment to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Gloria Sanchez, an 81-year-old former kindergarten teacher, runs a twice-weekly breakfast club for her building. Years ago, Gloria read in a magazine that consistency is the secret to a long life. She didn't just take it as advice, made it her motto. Gloria understood that change only works if it fits your real life. Every Tuesday and Friday, neighbors gather around her little kitchen table for breakfast. Some bring hard-boiled eggs, some bring sliced fruit, others bring coffee. But one thing never changes: a bowl of avocado halves, a platter of roasted sweet potato wedges, and a dish of plain pumpkin seeds always sit in the middle. I realized early on, Gloria says, if I wanted to feel better, I had to make it easy for myself. I had to make it enjoyable. For her, that meant sharing food, laughter, and gentle accountability with friends. And it's not just social. Gloria keeps a simple routine for herself on days she eats: a lone avocado toast or sweet potato with eggs for breakfast, pumpkin seeds sprinkled on her lunchtime salad, sweet potatoes roasted in olive oil with steamed greens for dinner. She calls it her foundation menu, a template she follows without having to think too much or get bored. Science supports Gloria's wisdom. Our bodies, especially as we age, thrive on rhythm. When you give yourself the same healing foods at the same times, day after day, your muscles, nerves, and even your brain learn to expect support. This predictability smooths the body's stress response, allowing you to absorb more nutrients, sleep more deeply, and crucialacker faster from setbacks. But what if you're not a routine person? What if you get bored easily or find it hard to stick with new habits? That's where creativity and self-kindness come in. Here are a few gentle strategies inspired by real Americans: 1. Pair the new with the old. In Los Angeles, Tommy Lee, a retired jazz musician, started eating sweet potato mash during his nightly music listening sessions. I never missed my records, he laughs, so I just added a bowl of sweet potatoes to my playlist. Now it's automatic. 2. Make food social. In Jacksonville, Florida, a group of friends started Seed and Story Sundays. Everyone brings a dish with pumpkin seeds, and while they eat, they share a memory from their childhood. The meal becomes more than nutritionist connection, which is just as healing. 3. Build reminders. In Seattle, Janet Harris sets a small bowl of pumpkin seeds next to her TV remote. I used to reach for chips or cookies while watching shows, she explains. Now, the seeds are right there, and after a while, it just became my go-to snack. 4. Allow yourself pleasure. Not every meal needs to be perfect. The trick is in the pattern, not perfection. If you miss a day, simply begin again. Be gentle with yourself, Gloria always says. Healing isn't a race, it's a dance. 5. Celebrate small wins. When Martha in Tulsa went 1 week without night cramps, she treated herself to a new pair of walking shoes. Bill rewarded himself with a round of golf. These little moments of celebration reinforce new habits, minding your mind and body that change is worth it. And remember, change is easier with community. If you live with family, invite them to join you for avocado toast or roasted sweet potatoes. If you live alone, call a friend and set a challenge. Woo can try the most new sweet potato recipes this month. Many seniors find joy in sharing photos of their meals with grandkids, or even exchanging recipes with neighbors by text or email. The most important thing is this: don't wait for motivation. Build your life around rituals that nurture you. Over time, these foods and the routines you create become not just a way to heal your legs or calm your nerves, but a source of comfort and identity proof that you're still in charge of your health and your happiness. Years from now, when someone asks you how you stay so energetic, you can tell them the truth. I didn't just eat right. Caring for myself a ritual, a pleasure, a gift. By now, you may be wondering what happens when more people make these changes together. When a handful of foods and a sprinkle of intention becomes something bigger, a movement. A community, a new way of living well in later life. Across America, from coast to coast, this quiet revolution is already taking root. Let me introduce you to a few more friends whose lives have changed, not just because they started eating differently, but because they started sharing their journey in Vermont. Roger and Linda Clark, a couple married over 50 years, found themselves drifting into old routines that didn't serve their health. Roger's cramps kept him awake. Linda felt weak and worried about losing her independence. After hearing about sweet potatoes and pumpkin seeds at a senior center talk, they decided to make a change together. Every Saturday, they shopped for avocados and sweet potatoes at the local farmer's market, making it a date. They began inviting neighbors over for Sunday lunch, serving up roasted sweet potato wedges, salads with pumpkin seeds, and stories of their week. What started as a dietary experiment quickly became a cherished tradition, a circle of friends, all rooting for each other, swapping recipes, laughing over old photos, even walking together after meals. The cramps faded. Linda's balance improved. Roger slept through the night for the first time in years. But more than that, their world grew larger again in Houston, Texas. Carla Wilson, age 70, started a Legs for Life walking group after her daughter noticed her shuffling steps and encouraged her to add more potassium and magnesium to her diet. Carla brought along her avocado toast and a jar of pumpkin seeds, offering samples to anyone interested. The group grew from 2 to 20 members in just a few months. Together, they celebrated milestones, cramp-free weeks, first time walking the park loop, and dancing at a granddaughter's wedding. For many, the shared journey brought as much healing as the food itself. Then there's Eddie Brooks in Phoenix, Arizona, a widower who once dreaded evenings alone. Inspired by a neighbor, Eddie began hosting supper at 7, inviting a few friends for a simple meal built around the foods that changed his life. They talked openly about the challenges of aging, the frustrations, the small victory. Show it felt to sleep well, walk further, feel hopeful again. What these stories share is not just the power of food, but the magic that happens when people come together to support one another's healing. Food is nourishment, but community is medicine too. It's easier to try something new when you're not alone. It's easier to keep going when you celebrate together. Laughter, encouragement, and the comfort of being understood, they all matter. As much as magnesium and potassium, this is how transformation spreads. One neighbor telling another, one breakfast club inspiring a church potluck, one family sharing a sweet potato recipe on Facebook. The ripple effect is real. So what does a new path to lifelong strength look like? It looks like friends checking in on each other after a walk. It looks like sharing avocados at a bridge club. It looks like a grandparent teaching a grandchild how to roast sweet potatoes, passing down not just a recipe, but a lesson in self-care. Science confirms what tradition has always known. When we feel connected, when we belong, our bodies heal more readily. Our moods improve, our will to live and thrive grows stronger. The healthiest communities on earth aren't just eating well, they're eating together. If you're listening or reading this now and feeling alone, remember you are one meal, one phone call, one small invitation away from starting your own circle of change. Maybe you'll be the person who brings pumpkin seeds to the next church gathering. Maybe you'll be the friend who says, "Let's try avocado toast this week and see how we feel." Maybe you'll start a simple routine and, in doing so, inspire someone else. The old story was about getting old, shrinking back, accepting decline. The new story is about reaching out, growing together, and making each day a little brighter, a little stronger, a little more free. And at the heart of it all, as you've heard again and again, is not just what you eat, but how you care for yourself and each other every day. So let's carry this forward. Let's choose foods that rebuild, habits that restore, and friendships that renew. Let's rewrite the script of aging in American avocado. One sweet potato, one pumpkin seed, and one circle of care at a time. Because the truth is, lifelong strength isn't a secret. It's a practice. It's a conversation. It's a meal shared, a story told, a hand extended. And that, truly, is how we reclaim not just our legs, but our lives. As we come to the end of this journey together, let's pause for a moment. Take a breath. Notice your body, your legs, your breath, your heart beating steadily in your chest. Maybe you feel a little lighter, a little more hopeful. Maybe there's a new curiosity stirring inside you, a sense of what if. What if your story isn't finished yet? What if the best chapters are still ahead? Over the last hour, we've explored the hidden messages our bodies send, sharp surprise of a midnight cramp. It's the stubborn ache of tired legs, the quiet worry that sleep and strength might be slipping away for good. We've met Helen in Nebraska, Walter in Ohio, Martha in Oklahoma, and so many others, each facing their own doubts and difficulties, but refusing to settle for decline. What did they discover? That their bodies, though sometimes noisy in their discomfort, are wise. They are always asking for what they need, not in the language of prescriptions and diagnoses, but in the simple signals of hunger, fatigue, tension, and relief. And that? The answers first, most powerful answers are found not in more pills, but in real, living food. In the creamy green of an avocado, in the deep gold of a roasted sweet potato, in the crunch of pumpkin seeds eaten mindfully with gratitude. But more than food, more than recipes or routines, these friends discovered something deeper. That healing is a practice of listening, of caring, of saying yes to themselves on when the world tells them it's just age. A practice of choosing community over isolation, of finding joy in small celebrations, a pain-free walk, a full night's rest, the simple pleasure of sharing a meal with someone who understands. So, what comes next for you, for your family, for all of us? First, remember this: change doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the daily rituals, the meals you build with intention, the small acts of kindness you show yourself. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to wonder, will this really make a difference? But every story you've heard today began with a single step of first avocado. A new way to prepare sweet potatoes, a single bowl of pumpkin seeds. One day, then another until the routine became a rhythm, and the rhythm became a new life. Second, share what you've learned. Healing multiplies when it's shared. Invite a friend for breakfast. Bring a neighbor a sweet potato casserole. Start a text chain where you trade recipes and encouragement. Host an avocado club like Helen, a walking group like Carla in Houston, or a supper circle like Eddie in Phoenix. These are not just meals. They are acts of hope, sparks of connection, reminders that none of us is meant to walk this path alone. Third, be gentle with yourself. If you miss a day, if the cramps come back for a night, if you slip into old habits, forgive yourself and begin again. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress, about choosing every day to move toward more comfort, more energy, more joy. Your body is listening. Your spirit is ready. You are not too old to change. In fact, you are exactly the right age to begin. Let's look to the future on with fear, but with curiosity. Imagine what might happen if, across towns and cities, more and more people started to eat for strength, to build daily rituals of care, to reclaim their right to move, to sleep, to live fully and well. What if, instead of shrinking back, we reached out, creating networks of support, circles of friends, bridges between generations? Imagine a community where leg cramps are rare, where the fear of falling is replaced by confidence, where every kitchen table becomes a healing place. Now, I invite you, listening or watching right now, to take the next step. Don't just leave these ideas behind when the video ends. Put them into practice. Go to your kitchen, open your pantry, and see what small changes you can make today. Add an avocado to your shopping list. Roast sweet potatoes for dinner, or pour yourself a bowl of pumpkin seeds to enjoy with your next cup of tea. Share what you learn with others. Start a conversation with your family, your doctor, your friends. Ask them to join you. The more people who walk this road together, the easier and more joyful it becomes. Your call to action is simple but profound. Choose strength. Choose hope. Choose to rewrite the story of aging for yourself and those you love. Let every meal be a vote for your independence, your mobility, your dignity. If you found this message helpful, share this video with someone who needs encouragement. Leave a comment or send us your story, because every journey is unique and yours could light the way for someone else. Remember, you are not a statistic, not a diagnosis, not a collection of aches and pains. You are a living story with chapters, yet unwritten chapters of laughter, friendship, movement, and possibility. As you close this video or put down this script, take a deep breath and feel the truth of it. You are not alone. Your body can heal. And together, we can create a future where aging is not about giving up, but about growing stronger, wiser, and more connected. Don't meal. One step, one day at a time. Sog it up, stretch your legs, step into your kitchen, and begin. The next chapter starts with you. Thank you for sharing this journey. I wish you strength, joy, and the freedom to move through life with ease.